Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker, and today is our first set championship showcase. It's been a while since my last upload. Part of that has been because I've just been busy and I've been in a weird headspace. It's been a bad ADHD month is what it's been. The other day alone, I must have started and then got distracted by and began working on other projects 6 or 7 times. It's been a month. But also I have to put some of the blame down to TCG Shop Simulator. It's my newest addiction. I regret to inform you that I no longer see trading cards with playable functionality. I now see singles that must be sold for maximum profits of at least 10% over market rate. Nonetheless, we're here today with some set championship showcase. Now, I did a poll on the channel on how I should cover set championships this season. Obviously, in the past, it was only top 4 got promos. So I just said anyone who want a promo, send me a list. Obviously, now top 8 are getting promos, which I do think is a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I'm a big supporter of it. But I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about covering decks. Previous set championship showcases have already been super long traditionally. So we put out a poll, seeing what people wanted, and there seems to be an emphasis on people wanting me to cover top 4, but there were also some comments saying that they'd like to see top 8 if it's particularly spicy brew. All of the lists that we're going to look at today are ones that have been sent to me either via email or a Twitter post that I put out. I haven't gone specifically looking for set championship deck lists for this video, purely because I'm already doing a lot of in-depth research into a lot of these lists for our Ultra Data video. These videos are more just about highlighting player achievement, showing some spicy builds, and giving an overall general view of what meta decks are the most popular and performing well. So yeah, I put out a tweet asking for top 4 lists, but I did say if anyone made top 8 and really wants to be part of the video, then send it my way and I'll do my best to include it. We won't be going too in-depth into many of the lists that we look at today. Again, the Ultra Data project is where we'll be being far more specific. This is just a showcase of decks, but of course we'll go a bit more in-depth for any unusual ones. I'm going to do some channel admin now. As always, timestamps in the description if you want to jump straight to the lists. But yeah, concerning the Ultra Data project, as you can see, I've already started compiling information. I'm still to fill in any of this stuff on the right, but these are all the events that I've already started cataloguing, and I've got all the deck lists for them, and I've added location to this graph, which is an addition from last time. I'm drawing from events that took place from the 26th of September. That's because it gives us like a nice clear month between then and Seattle. If you were part of an event that was 30 players or more, which isn't here, I implore you to get it submitted to inkdex.com. If it isn't on inkdex.com, then I won't include it in the data. This is purely because I want all of the info that I provide to be sourceable and easily fact-checkable. So it's far easier for me if I'm just able to link Inkdex as my source. If you email me with a list saying this was 30 players or more, even if you provide a link to the melee and I can see it's absolutely true, I still won't include it unless it's on inkdex.com, because as I just said, I want to be able to use that as the way that people can fact-check me. My aim is to get that video out on Tuesday the 22nd so that I can include events from the weekend of the 19th and the 20th, and then still leave a few days up until the Seattle event for people to sort of like take in that information and potentially adapt to it. There will also be screens like this, like I did last time, showing exact counts of cards for specific ink types. Last time I only had time to do it for Steel Song and Ruby Sapphire. This time I'm looking to get 5 done. Steel Song, Ruby Sapphire, Ruby Amethyst, EA Tempo, just win the game, and Emerald Steel Discard. That's already a heck of a lot of work, so I don't know if I'll get any more than that. But nonetheless, wish me luck. On another note, I recently got a new green screen, which you can hopefully have been able to tell by this point. By the way, I know I'm very red in the face. I let the beard get a bit out of control, and I shaved today, and I use a razor. I am Sweeney Baker, the demon barber of Lorcana. But yeah, this was an investment. It's an Elgato one. The one I've had since the beginning of the channel was literally just 2 poles and a cloth. And hey, that was perfectly fine for my first year. If you're looking to get into content creation of any type, don't break the bank getting tons of expensive equipment. I started off with the most basic green screen, the most basic lights, basic camera, everything. It was a long while before I updated anything really. I'm still using a USB microphone. It's a Blue Yeti, which is among the better ones. And hopefully I will upgrade that at some point, but it's still doing me just fine. And while I'm very lucky that I make money from officially casting the DLCs, the channel, while making some money, is not enough to live on. So I've very much been saving profits from over the months. A couple of months back, I bought a new camera. And now the newest purchase is this new green screen because I was getting annoyed at the old one. But yeah, as I've said before, I want to continue to just invest back into the channel. I want to get a setup so that I can record gameplay here at home so that I can do like stream like Pixelborn Connect and things like that. And I also want to get a traveling kit for filming gameplay. Basically the sort of stuff that Spessie's doing. Like I always wanted to do that sort of stuff, but I didn't have the equipment. More than anything, it was the time to be able to travel to events. But next year, I'm looking to change that and go to a lot more events. But yeah, I just want to give another huge thank you to everyone that supported. I also want to give a special shout out to our members. We've got 10 members now, and I'm so grateful because there are still no members-only perks. I promise you they will come, and I also promise you there'll be a point where like we'll do some sort of giveaway specifically for like members that were members of the channel in my first year. But yeah, a huge thank you. And then another note, I finally watched Zootropolis because I'd never seen it. I loved it. It was really, really good. Nick Wilde especially. I like him more at the beginning when he's more of a con man. I mean, he stays a con man, but obviously it's a lovely story. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. Anyway, that's a lot of yapping. A shout out to the channel sponsor, Cardmarket, if you're looking for Lorcana singles at competitive rates. Then check out Cardmarket, you saucy teapot. But let's jump in and look at some Set Championship Showcase! Alrighty then, like I said, a lot of decks to go through, so we won't be going through many of them in detail, but of course the spicier ones we will highlight somewhat more. And we're going to start off with the Amber Steel decks. And we're going to start off with a nice spicy one, courtesy of Aluma Queer Lins. No stranger, we've covered them before many times on the channel. Proven, very accomplished, very talented player, part of the Love to Lore community. So a huge shout out to them. And got second place with some Steel Farsa. Super interesting. Obviously, Mufasa trying to get some nice high rolls of characters off the deck. We've got Chernabog here, who is obviously a big boy, and a deck like this tends to want to go through characters a lot, especially because I see a 2-cost dock there. So this seems super online. We've got 3 copies of the Simba Fighting Prince for getting through cards in the deck, and of course doing chip damage. Again, a really nice hit off of Simba. We've got 4 Tinkerbell for a bit more ball presence, and 2 Perdita, and a nice set of 1 and 2 drops, 4 Daisy. We've got a 4/4 Robin Hood line, 4 Piglet, all aggro characters. We've got 2 Magic Broom, which also was a nice Diablo answer as long as he's not a Cove. Mr. Smee for stats, and we are running 4 copies of the new dock. When you play and discard your hand to draw 2 cards, so this deck can very much afford to really extend, make sure it's constantly inking. Obviously, in a perfect world, you want to try and get a Rapunzel play off. Unfortunately, we don't have access to things like Mulan and Mother Gothel, but we can still set up that damage with something like Smee, and we have big bodies like Lawrence here as a prime target for a nice value Rapunzel. But nice to know that we've also got this option to dock or Rapunzel and then just extend and then dock and just keep going. We've got a couple of 4-cost uninkable Tinkerbells with that built-in Be Our Guest. We've got 1 copy of Minnie, who banishes a character with 5 strength or more on play, which there are some pretty good targets for. 3 copies of that Chen Pao, nice big bodyguard. We've got 4 dock to play characters cheaper. No Gaston in here is a bit of a surprise. I do super rate Gaston. We are seeing 3 copies of Pete as well to shut down those actions. Interesting card if you hit it off of Mufasa, because obviously, like, there might not be... It might be the last thing they do with their turn is to challenge the Mufasa, and then you get the Pete, and then it gets back to your turn and already the effect has worn off. But if it's a situation where maybe they challenge the Mufasa because they want you to get your hit and then they play Be Prepared, that could be a super interesting interaction. But even if we're not hitting it with Mufasa, just a nice way that we can give a bit more survivability to an extended board. So yeah, super nice looking list. Congratulations to them. And looking through the rest of Steel's song, a lot more traditional here. We are seeing the 3 Lanterns and 3 Prince Naveen. The Decandio special, super big fan of that, especially if you're planning it like in 2-game format when you're going to be on the draw. You want to be able to come back, especially in the mirror match with that turn 2 Lantern. If they play Ariel, then you can play Naveen to immediately play Along Came Zeus. It is Decandio I originally heard that from, who I tried credit it to as much as possible, but I do think it's a super good and interesting interaction to highlight. Yeah, we've got 3 Petes, we've got 3 Piglets, 2 Bare Necessities, looking pretty standard. We've got Jaffa here, who's opting for a couple of copies of Lawrence, no Daisy Ducks, 1 Grab Your Sword, also 2 copies of that Pride Rock. is a lot rarer these days. We've got Cinderella here, also from the Love to Lore community. First place, Battle City Games. Yo, where's my dual disc? Also on the Lantern, the Decandio special, we've got 2 copies of Cinderella Stout-Hearted. I imagine they have 1 copy of the OR, so that's why they've been very specific to include 1 of each here. But yeah, super nice looking list. We've got Justin here, who's playing a copy of I Find My Platinum, which could be super good into the Ruby Sapphire matchups or the Sapphire Steel decks, which are growing in popularity a bit with the rise of Green Steel. Just 1 copy of Tinkerbell, a couple of Ursula Vanessas, 3 Cinderella Stout-Hearted and the Daisy Ducks. Version here by Gobi, also on the Daisy Ducks. We've got the Naveen's, but no Lanterns. We see the Find My Platinum here again. 2 copies of Be Our Guest is certainly rarer, but everything else looking pretty standard. And those are our Steel Song lists. Yeah, most of them looking pretty traditional. A lot more of these ones playing Daisy than we might have expected. You, of course, do see her in Steel Song, but I think she's been slightly less common in results reported over the last sort of month. But let's move into another fan favourite in combination with some Blurple. We've got Enchanted Hunter here. Our high end are 2 Hades, 3 Elsa, and of course playing 4 copies of the 5th Spirit one as well, who's just a really good card in and of herself. Great for picking off those Diablos. 2 copies of the Big Bad Mufasa. We've got 3 libraries as our location of choice. 2 Bell to move damage counters. We've got Tipo and Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck are our ramp options. So a curve of turn 3 Mickey into turn 4 Donald is going to be super good getting this high end online. So yeah, this is looking super, super good. We've got Zero the Hero here with a much more toolbox looking option. Our 1-drops, we've got 3 Rafiki, 3 Cogsworth and 2 Chernabog's followers. The 3 Cogsworth, in fairness, having a lot of synergy with the 1 copy of Genie Main Attraction in the deck, which we saw in a Blurple list that did well maybe a month ago, I think. 5/5 quest for 2, and while he's exerted, opposing characters can't ready at the start of their turn. This is super slow in my opinion, but if you do have the 8 ink to be able to play Genie, like again, as long as there's something to challenge, to play the Genie and the Cogsworth to challenge with the Genie and immediately exert. This is assuming you're getting value from that. Like if your opponent's got like a wide board, and then you're stopping other things from readying to really get the value. I'm still not a huge fan of Main Attraction, but we've seen him crop up a couple of times. We've got 1 copy of Magicka Dispel. Nice against the yellow-green decks to turn off those sudden chills, those You Have Forgotten Me's. Also lets you keep your hand against a whole new world. We've got 1 copy of Belle. We're also playing 2 copies of Merlin Intellectual Visionary. And of course, we're playing the bounce package here. We've got 3 Goat, 4 Rabbit, and 3 Crab. And yeah, when you play him, add any card from your... goes into your hand, right? Yeah, any card from your deck straight into your hand, which is, of course, a very powerful ability. Well, 1 copy of Purple Dragon to bounce some of these characters back to hand. We've got 2 copies of the Sea Witch Queen. No shift target, but again, with ramp, we're looking to have access to this ink nice and early and potentially shut down some songs. 1 Hades, 1 Mufasa, 2 Elsa. I feel like I'd want at least 1 more Hades. Like, it's one of your only, like, straight removal cards. 1 Hideaway for those pesky locations and hopefully a lucky dime. 2 Let It, to be fair, 2 Let It Go is more removal. But I think I'd feel safe with Hades. Of course, this is snatchable by Ursula, and you can ink it, but if you're inking it, that's 1 less removal option. I don't know, I do like Let It Go, but I think Hades at least a 2 count for my money, and 3 libraries. So yeah, a much more toolbox variant. We've got Mr. Chrissy here, 3 Elsa, 2 Hades, 2 Mufasa, 2 Kuzco, 2 Yzma, who I super like, and I super like the 2 Grandfather Clock Cogsworth here. If you're going to play this 1-drop, which if you want to play this big, I'm not huge on Cogsworth. I'm not like he's fine, but like I've never been as sold on him as I think a lot of the community. It's one of the things me and Spessy actually agree on. But if you want to play in Blurple, you want to play this Grandfather Clock, then I'm all for it. So in this instance, play some more of the 1-drop. Because yeah, I super like the 5-drop in here. 3 Mickeys. We're running 1 copy of the Peter Pan Shadow Finder. Hopefully snipe away a Diablo. Other than that, looking pretty stat. Oh, we got 1 copy of Great Stone Dragon as well, which I don't hate. I didn't like this when I tested it in Red Blue, but nonetheless got them a nice result in set championships. Congratulations to them. We got Bro Hamilton playing 2 copies of the Anna Mystical Majesty. She's a shift 4, but we have no shift target, and on play you can exert all opposing characters. I've said my piece on this before. I would just play more Elsa. I think that's until the day comes that we get a good shift target for this Anna, because we have shift targets, but the keyword is good. Like a 2, 3, 4 cost Anna who does something that we want to play her anyway. then I can see this Arna being used. But as it is, I think I would just play Morelsa. But that being said, we are far more in on these genies, 3 cogs worth to go along with them. So yeah, if your opponent has hugely extended, then there's worlds where we can put this Arna down to exert everything. I mean, the perfect world really is you play the genie, and then they have a turn, and then you play Arna to exert everything, and then you just quest your genie, and then hopefully they're stuck there. 3 Sea Witch Queen, we've got 3 Mickey, and a 3 1-jump as our ramp. Yeah, looking really good. I'm just not a big fan of this Arna, personally. We've got Bonk Gummy Bear Juice, 1 Rafiki, 1 Ursula Mad Sea Witch, which is a shift target for the Sea Witch Queen, so I don't hate it. 1 Purple Dragon. I like this high end. 1 copy of McDuck Manor. Love the spice there. 4 Cogsworth. 1 Elephant. 2 Bell. I'm seeing 1 copy of Dolores Madrigal. When you play this character, if an opponent has an exerted character in play, you may draw a card. Just 3 rabbits. I mean, yeah, if you just want to lower your uninkable count, then sure. But I think if Tipo is one of your ramp options of choice, I would probably just go with the rabbits. But yeah, seems fine. 2 Chernabog. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these sort of counts of 1-drops. Like, I don't know if it's ever worth running 1 copy of 1 1-drop. I don't know, maybe sometimes it is. But nonetheless, I love me a Blurple deck. I super like this 1 McDuck Manor. I bet that caught a lot of people off guard, so big up to them. We've got Renato here. Much cleaner looking list. 2 copies of this Peter Pan Shadowfinder. Hoping to snipe out those Diablos, which hopefully won't be at the Cove if they don't see this Peter Pan coming. 4 Sherna, 4 Broom. We've got 2 Mickey and 4 Donald. So yeah, access to that turn 3, turn 4 ramp package with this nice high end. Yeah, this looks like a super consistent version. And that's all of our Blurple. Now we're going to move into Ruby Amethyst. I did like a couple of exciting ones first. And then like, I know from analytics that some people just red, purple, yeah, skip to the next chapter. But yeah, leave this for the middle. And in first place, we'll start off by featuring good old Kendall Burdett. We had them on the channel not too long ago. One of the respected as one of the best red-purple players in the world. With a pretty good set of results to back that statement up so far. And yeah, this is the version that they're currently on. Still rocking the 4 Queen's Castle and 1 Library with 4 Sherna, but only 3 copies of Magic Broom. We've got just 1 Crab. We're on 3 Medusa, 2 Tremaine, and 2 Elfsa, 5th Spirit, and 4 Brawl. I honestly think that this is just objectively the right way to play Ruby Amethyst. The more I look at it, the more I think about it. Don't get me wrong, like, I like the 8 1-drops, and especially if you're running Library. And I like more Crabs, personally. But there's nothing else that I would want at lower counts. There's been times where I've played with the 3B prep. With the logic really being like you want to reduce your odds of drawing into that early, especially if you're on green against green, and even like going in blind, you want to be prepared. No actual pun intended this time for the Ursa 2-drop. But that being said, if you are against green, you're only running 3B prep, and you do get that early one in your hand and they snipe it, then you've only got 2 more in your deck, and quite often it can be so important. So I do think 4 is probably necessary, and I do think 3 Medusa, 2 Tremaine is probably right. My current build, I'm on 2 Tremaine, 2 Medusa. But yeah, I think this is probably just the right way to do it. Again, I'd like a second Crab, but when it does come up, it feels super good. But I don't know how often it comes up to justify higher slots. And I like, to be honest, my current version of Ruby Amethyst, I'm not playing, I'm just on 4 1-drops again at the moment. I'm just on the 4 Shonabog's followers. But yeah, objectively, I think this is probably just the best way to play Ruby Amethyst, so huge congratulations to them. We've got Cole here playing a very similar version on the 3 Sherna, 4 Broom, and 3 Castle, 2 Library. I would always max on castles, but 3 Elsa here, 2 Ladies, 2 Crab looks pretty good. We've got Alex here, Wallflower 95. Again, very similar version, 4 Castle, 2 Library, the 4 1-drops, 2 Ladies. Yep, looking good. We've got Jeffrey Modlin here. Special shout out to Jeffrey Modlin, who's a personal friend of mine. We've never met, but we've been friends for like 3-4 years. Met online, and I've played multiple campaigns of D&D with them. He's currently a player in the non-Lorcana. I know I keep teasing that I've got Lorcana D&D coming, which is coming one day, but I've been DMing a traditional D&D game for like 2.5 years now. Maybe 2 years. But yeah, good friends with Jeff, and he won his set championships. He won a Ursula last set, which I was super proud of him for. maybe that's right. But yeah, got first place. So huge shout out to you, Mod. Now I've already seen this list, and I've given him feedback, which for me personally is especially if you want the 2 Floodborn Sisu, the empowered sibling, then I'm at least maxing my Sisu count of like 4. But really, if I'm going to play 2 big Sisu, then I want 5. Like in the past, I've ran 2 big Sisu with 4 Emboldened Warrior and 1 Daring Visitor. I do like the Daring Visitor. There are plenty of good targets for her, even if it's just Flavisham. And against aggro decks, she can be good. But yeah, with 2 big Sisu, I want at least 4 shift targets and potentially 5. I like the Elsas, 3 Medusas. We're not running any Tremaines or Bee Kings, so maybe a little weaker into Ruby, Sapphire, and Sapphire Steel. Again, there's still not tons of Sapphire Steel at the moment, but I do feel like that's going to change a little bit in Seattle. We'll talk about that when we get to Ultra Data video. But again, against Ruby Sapphire, we have the Flynn Sisu Castle line. Lower counts, again, I don't like the only 2 Flynn, but I like the 2 Super Goof. Again, the surprise factor of that is going to be super big. 4 Crab, I think, is maybe too many, but I respect it. Like, I imagine they put in a lot of work. And yeah, I like the Elsa Spirit of Winter. I don't think I'd run her in Ruby Amethyst unless I was going to max out the 5th Spirit. So yeah, a couple of count differences that I would certainly change here, but nonetheless, super proud of you, Jeff. Well done. We've got Amanda Quest here on the 7-1 drops, but the 1-3s, tradition. I like a good traditional looking list. Going to get a lot of value out of those with the Crab. They'll just survive all the longer while taking out bigger bodies. You obviously survive things like cannons and Baboom, and let the Storm Rage on, the most important one. We are running 1 copy of the Big Sisu, and we're seeing 1 Sorcerer's Spellbook, which I remember when this person tweeted their list at me, they made a comment saying it was a super late edition and apparently put in a lot of work for them. I'm not a fan of Spellbook, but hey, I'm glad it put in work for you. Only 3 Flynn I've been tempted by in the past, but I think this card is just so important into Ruby Sapphire. It just gives you so much of a better matchup, and Ruby Sapphire is so much of the field. I would just max them. But I like the counter ladies, looking super good. We've got JD Davidson here, always like a list on 2 lines. Running 4 copies of the Queen of Hearts, the shift version, who, whenever one of your characters challenges, you draw a card. So we've got that as a draw engine. And yeah, surprise value there. If you've got a character that you've put down on turns 1, 2, 3, 4, and they leave something exerted, suddenly you put down this Queen of Hearts, then that could be quite annoying for them. No Medusa, instead opting for 3 Tremaine. Yeah, super spicy. Only 3 Maui I'm not crazy about, but very, very clean looking list. We got Higher Georgie here, who's running the 2 copies of Finders Keepers, which I think might be real. This came up recently from the, I think it was Luda Toter, the like 600 plus person event, and I forget the name, but it was a player who's like a Magic the Gathering like legend, and they made top 16 at DLC Birmingham with Steel Song. But yeah, at the event in France, they were running Ruby Amethyst with no Flynns, and they were running 2 copies of Finders Keepers, which... yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Tabletop Simulator, and yeah, Finders Keepers is actually feeling kind of okay, because if you don't have a reason to Maui or Elsa on 5, or even just miss them, then it gives you something pretty good to do on 5. Like on 6, we don't mind if we like it if we don't have to Tremaine or Medusa, because it's quite conceivable to go Rabbit Snake or Snake Rabbit. But yeah, Finders Keepers on 5. Kind of enjoying it, you know. Other than 2 Kuzcos as well. Again, I think this is the list that, again, I'm gonna have to double check their name, but the player from France that sort of originated this with the 2 Kuzco. But yeah, super big fan of it. We've got Pedro here running the 1 Spirit of Winter, but we are running 4 copies of the 5th Spirit, so big fan of that. Again, only 2 Flynns I'm not a fan of, but the 4/4/1 drops with the 4 library 1 card. Goodness me. Like, I nearly completely missed that because I just assume it to be the 4 castle and the 4 library. A statement. Let me know. Do you think maybe I need to do a poll? Castle or library? Where's the emphasis going? We've got Colby here, also running again. Maybe is this the same list we just looked at? No, it's not. So a few people drawing inspiration from France. The 2 Finders Keepers, the 3. That's 1 more Kuzco than they played, but yeah, 1 Tremaine, 3 Medusa. Super spicy. And those are our Ruby Amethyst list. Let's go straight on to the Ruby Sapphire brews. We've got Marcy Darcy here. One copy of, is it Noi? I think his name's Noi. This list is in a different language, but I'm pretty sure if you've got an item in play, then it's Resist 1 and Ward. I'm not a huge fan. 3 copies of the Daring Visitor Sisu. Sounds good. 3 copies of the Empowered Sibling. 4 Vision. 2 One Jump. 2 Hideaway. 2 How Far I'll Go. Only 3 Brawl is maybe a little worrying, but it's probably fine with 3 Medusa and Ramp. 1 Scar I'm a big fan of. He performed very well for me for Ruby Sapphire. 2 copies of Be Prepared. 4 Ice Block all in on that. We've got a version here running that Aerial Treasure Collector, which is normally reserved for Sapphire Steel, but can certainly catch people off guard. And if they don't have the B Prep or the Tremaine, or maybe that's not even an answer if you've been able to extend, then that could be super, super good. 1 copy of Great Stone Dragon, also only 1 B Prep I'm not a fan of. 2 Hideaway, 2 One Jump, 1 Scar, 1 copy of the Ruby Chromacon, which again, a 1-drop item and fixes some math. Maui 1-chops the castle and other things like that. 1 copy of Kuzco along with the 2 Hideaway, so a lot of location and item hate. Another version here looking pretty traditional. 3 B Prep I'm a fan of. 1 copy of Hideaway. 4 Dragons, 4 Vision, 3 Ice Block, looking good. We've got Sailor's version here. Shout out to Sailor. I actually recently appeared on their like their Metafy, their private Discord for their Metafy supporters, and he broke down one of the gameplay videos that I put up on the channel with Ruby Sapphire, and he was sort of talking through the misplays and the mistakes, but also highlighting what was right and where I got unlucky. But he asked me if I wanted to come and like be part of a class essentially, and I've always been more than happy to. I don't mind my misplays being highlighted. But yeah, looking like a super, super good list, and we know Sailor's a very strong Ruby Sapphire player, so definitely draw inspiration from that list would be my advice. I like the 2 Scar here. I really am a big fan of Scar and Ruby Sapphire. Bro Hamilton. And that's it for the Ruby Sapphire. See, not all that bad. Let's go on to another unique in combination, well, rare in combination. We've got some Amber Sapphire. Super aggro. We've got 4 Daisy. We've got Piglets here. We've got the Anna, who, if you have another hero in play, she gets +1 lore. Our heroes are Stitch, Donald, Rapunzel, Mickey, Donald, and of course just another copy of herself. We've got 2 copies of Chicha for when you ink the second time in a turn, you can draw a card. 3 Surfer Stitch here as well to draw some cards. 2 Grand Martala, whenever you put a card into your inkwell, you gain a lore. Couple of Hades for removal. 3 of the big bad Ruler of Pride Rock, Mufasa, 1 Chernabog, and we've got 4 copies of Mufasa, King of the Pride Lands. 6 cost inkable, 4/6, quest for 3. Wow, love it. I think this is one of the best stat lines you could have. Well, of course, if you could have more willpower, you always would. But you wouldn't always have more strength than 4. 4 is a super nice number because it's out of natural Medusa. Obviously, they can ice block and stuff like that, but it's out of natural Medusa, and it's out of natural World's Greatest Criminal Mind / Mini. 7 is the ideal willpower because it doesn't get one-shot by Maui, but this is as close as you can get to it. And yeah, questing for a whole lot. And if we get our Mickey Donald ramp, then this should be online fairly early on. We've got a 4/4 Queen line up in here. Yeah, super spicy looking list. Huge shout out to you. We've got Knives Nerd Corner here. Shout out to Knive, the mathematician of the Lorcana world, with some, is this princesses? There are certainly, oh, there's an Alice here. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. We've got 1 Daisy. We've got a 4/4 Queen line. We've got 4 Basil with that support. 4 Simba, 4 Wendy Darling, 4 Anna, 2 of this Moana and Mickey. Yeah, so we're super, super aggro. 4 copies of this Wendy Darling, who has ward and support, and of course that's going to get online. Are 4 copies of World's Greatest Criminal Mind, as well as the Queen line that we're running, and 4 copies of the Minnie Mouse, who has the same effect. So lots of use for these support characters. Alice obviously gives everyone support, so we can get even more characters, can help with getting off that strategy. 2 copies of Robin Hood. I know Steve Warner is a big fan of this Robin Hood, and is will be, if he's watching, I'm sure he'll be smiling Knife when you play this character. If an opponent has more cards in their hand than you, then draw a card, and during your turn he gains evasive. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the 4 copies of World's Greatest Criminal Mind and 4 copies of Scrooge McDuck. 4 cost uninkable, 5/5 quests for 2. super fast. We've got one copy of this Olaf here as well. 3 cost inkable, 1/4 quest for 2. You can shift by discarding an item, but there are no shift targets, so he will never be doing that. And whenever he quests, each of your other characters gets gets plus strength equal to this character's strength this turn. So if we give support to him and make him 3, 4, 5 strength, and then he quests, and then he can give that to each of your other characters. So yeah, like if you can develop a whiteboard and your opponent can, like that's the situation you should thrive in. And of course we're just super aggro. So yeah, super fun. Let's look at some Sapphire Steel. We recently had Sky on the channel talking all about Sapphire Steel, but his was a wheelless version. Maybe one or two of the lists that we look at now will be very similar, but here we've got the traditional whole new world. We've got the 4 quilled, we've got our 4 porpicles and 4 grey ones. Try the grey stuff, it's delicious. I have it on the highest of authority. 2 copies of Let It Go for removal. We are running 1 copy of that big bad Mufasa, Ruler of Pride Rock. We're also running 2 copies of the new Simba, Son of Mufasa on play. You can banish a location or item. This is actually a card that Tim, one of the game developers from Germany, who I've met, definitely the Ravensburger employee that I've met the most, with the exception of Ben from the UK brand. Shout out to both. But nonetheless, Tim thinks that this is slept on. 2 copies of Belle as another super aggressive quester. We've got Pete here to shut down those actions, and 4 Chicha, which I know recently, it wasn't in the list that Sky was highlighting recently, but I know after we did that video, he did an event where he tried out the Chichas, and I do believe he was a fan. So maybe this is becoming super, super real. 2 Zeus, 2 cannons. 2 cannons is super good. Sometimes you can just end the game, like, especially, again, decks need to build, especially if it's DLCs or just 2-game format in general, you need to build being aware of being on the draw. 3 copies of Grab Your Swords. Yeah, looking super, super good. And I'm ready for a return of Sapphire Steel. We've got Orion here, who's running a 4/4 Mickey Mouse line. Mate, I'm a fan. This actually gives us a shift line to early seeing wheel, because traditional Sapphire Steel lists that are playing wheel aren't running a shift line. Like they're not even really ramping. I mean, they do. There's Tipo here, and of course Fishbone, but there's no Robin Hood line really. Is the point I'm making. You wait until you get down a 5-drop, which is traditionally going to be Cogsworth, and sing with him. But it never feels great to sing with Cogsworth, because then you're exposing him. But this version here, opting to play 4/4 Mickey Mouse line. The 1-drop is super good. 1/2 quest for 1 and resists. It's one of the most resilient shifters in the game, because you need 3 damage to take it out, so you can't just pop it out with a Storm Rage on, something like that. We've got 3 Broom for the Diablos, 2 Bell, and of course this big Mickey Mouse. The ability isn't really relevant. No, to be fair, it could be. We've got 3 copies of this Magic Broom that gets evasive during your turn, and this Mickey, when you play him, deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of Magic Brooms you have in play. So if we do this on curve, we do 1 damage as we come in, and he just has resist 1 and quest for 2. But yeah, he's here to be a singer. 2 Aerial here as well. Sad to not see any Pete, so that we don't have the ability to checkmate. 2 Baboon, 2 Hideaway, 1 copy of Kuzco. So lots of hate for locations and opposing items. Traditional looking item and song package here. Looking super, super good. Love that Mickey Mouse package. We've got a version here by Gabriel, opting to play 3 copies of Argus. Helpful just for damage against big locations, but also gives you a bit of a better play into opposing 2-drop Flynn Riders from the red deck. So we've got 1 Big Bad Mufasa, 1 Hades for removal, only 2 Tamatar. I do think it's low. We've got 2 copies of Rise of the Titans. No Hideaway and no Kuzco here is super interesting, but a traditional song and item package alongside. We've got Dirty D here, who's playing Mickey Mouse as their ramp option. Of course, Fishbone Quill, but no T-pose here. We are seeing the 2 Aerials, 2 copies of the Simba as well, which was highlighted by Sky. 3 smashes, I like. Instantly get rid of the Naveen, the Aerial, the Diablo at Cove. Like, there's tons of, like, very good targets for this smash. Just 1 copy of a whole new world, so this is by and large a wheelless version. It's just got that 1 copy in there as a safety net. And that's all the Sapphire Steel. Let's move on to some EA Tempo. Just win the game. We've got first to 20. I miss you. First to 20 and your content. Huge shout out to you, my friend. We've got a super nice version here rocking the 4/4 Clarabelle. We've got 2 copies of Lol Tiberius Rourke. We've got the Kick Cloud Kickers for a bit of ball control. 1 copy of Anna, super flexible ability. 2 copies of Ursula Sea Witch Queen, and of course great shift target in the 2-drop Ursula. 3 Sahis, 3 Bonsai. We've got the 4 Elsa. I super like it. 4 4 Crab, 4 Pegasus, looking super good. We've got Lorcana Duo here from Fire and Dice. They're opting to play 2 copies of the Hidden Cove to mess with the opponent's maths. 1 copy of Library as well. We've got a 4-3 Clarabelle line. We've got 4 copies of Pegasus and 2 copies of the Shift version. And we're running 2 copies of the 2-drop Mother Gothel, who's got that built-in Mother Knows Best. 3 copies of Lyle, I super like. We've got Zook here, running that 1 copy of the Emerald Chromacon, which I think as a 1 count could be pretty good. 1 copy of that Mother Gothel that we just mentioned. Yeah, looking pretty traditional. 2 copies of Queen's Castle is our location of choice. Next, we've got a Pizzle. They are running a 4-3 Clarabelle. 2 copies of Merfolk, who we're not seeing very often these days. 2 copies of Belle and 2 copies of the Library is our location of choice. We've got Gamma San here. 2 copies of Yzma. I'm a big fan of Yzma. 1 Hidden Cove and 1 Library. 1 copy of Magicka Dispel as well to hopefully offset Sudden Chills, You Have Forgotten Me's, and A Whole New World, things like that. 1 Cogsworth, 1 Rafiki, 3 Clarabelle, 2 Merfolk. Yeah, again, I'm just not a huge fan of like just 1 Cogsworth, 1 Rafiki. But again, it's the toolbox variant. It's been proven to do well. Those are our EA Tempo decks. Let's look at some Emerald Amber. We've got some green Farsa here. This time Mufasa looking to flip over some Clarabelles. We've got Pegasus here, Cricky to give us a bit more ball control. We've got 4 copies of the Gaston to play our characters cheaper. 4 Daisy, 4 Piglet, 3 Bonsai, lots of aggro options. 3 copies of Mother Gothel with that built-in Mother Knows Best. Also running 4 copies of the 3-drop Clarabelle. So lots of options for our Floodborn Clarabelle. We should hopefully get her online more often than not. And again, a super tidy looking list. A big fan of that. And our other Emerald Amber deck is our Under the Sea variant. Only 1 version of this submitted, and it was by Alphos, as you can see. This is top 32 Birmingham, but they use nearly the same list, except they're running 1 more Cricky and 1 less You're Welcome. But it got Alphos a Mat Inset Championships, and yeah, again, did very well for him in Birmingham, so you'll love to see it. We've also got 2 Amethyst Steel decks to look at. This first one from Ryan, and I spent a long time looking at this, and I really rate this, you know. Just 1 copy of Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom I think is great. I think 2 higher counts of these, they get so clogged up in your hand. They are good top decks in certain situations, but I don't like high counts of them, but I think just a 1 is fine. 1 Bosses on a roll is super spicy as well. Again, you immediately get lore. It's information, especially if you're about to play a dock, or you know you're about to trigger some draw for Shonabog's followers, Magic Broom, the Library, all these sort of things. We're not playing rabbits. But yeah, I like the spicy 1 Bosses on a roll. As I mentioned, we're running 4 dock to discard and then immediately draw 2 cards. We are a very aggro deck overall. 2 copies of Happy as well, who gets evasive during your turn, and he's just a 1-drop, and he's perfectly reasonable early check for Diablo. But because we're running these 6 Knights, we're also running 2 copies of 7 Dwarves Mine. 2 to move there, but the first time you move a character there, you do 1 damage to an opposing character, but if it's a knight, then you do 2 damage. Now, even if you're just doing 1, that's not bad. But yeah, 6 knights, like, I think it's pretty realistic that you should get this on every now and then. And 2 damage just for moving to this location is kind of crazy. And again, it's another one of those cards where, like, Tim has said to me a few times, like, this is slept on. But yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing 7 Dwarves Mine start to like come into some meta play. Again, it's not a lot, but there was a version that did very well in Las Vegas. And yeah, I super like it here. 4 Library is our other location of choice. And we're running 2 copies of Bruni. I think it's Bruni or Brunny. I think it's Bruni. 4-cost Inkable 2/2, quest for 2, evasive, and when he's banished, you may draw a card. The only thing I don't like about him is that, like, he's probably the best brawl target for the red decks. And hey, don't get me wrong, you draw a card, so he immediately replaces himself, which is super good. And hey, make them have it. And if they don't have it and they don't have the evasive answer, then he could cheat out a good few lore. So I do like Bruni. There just aren't a lot of other characters here that I feel like would get brawled. The Maleficent biding her time, and potentially the Pascal if it's causing that many issues. But yeah, I just imagine more often than not this Bruni is immediately coming down and then just immediately getting brawled. And if that is the case, you would prefer it to be the Rabbit. But again, we're definitely trying to be wary of not running too many uninkables. But no, I super like Bruni, and it's good to see him find some success. 3 copies of Pete. Yeah, I super like this list. It's super low to the ground with some control options. Again, 4 fire the cannons. The 7 Dwarves Mine can be the 2 damage, and 2 smash here as well. 3 befuddle for the early game, so you can out aggro the other aggro decks. I really, really like this. I'm very keen to experiment with this, so huge shout out to you. We've got a version here by Anthony. A bit higher off the ground, 2 Tinkerbell, 2 Chempo, 3 Bell. We've got the 4 Rabbit here, 2 Crab, 3 Benja to remove those items, 3 Lawrence, then we've got 2 Swords, 4 Zeus, and 4 Library as our location of choice. I'll go back quickly to Emerald Amber. I did miss a couple. We've got one here called Sorry. I don't know if it's called Sorry, or if your name is Sorry, or if that's just what you're saying for being so darn aggro, because we've got a lot of it here. Bonsais, Piglets, Lilos, Daisies. We've got a 4-3-3 Clarabelle line. 2 You're Welcome, 2 Hidden Cove is our location of choice. 3 copies of Sven as well, who I know Spess is a big fan of, and I quite like him. 3-3 quest for 2 and ready a character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. 2 Tinkerbell with that built-in Be Our Guest. Yep, looks pretty strong. And a version here by Enchanted Hunter, who the main spice here is the 1 copy of Mirabel Madrigal. Certainly a lot of fun. I'm not a fan of it, but nonetheless, I'm glad it got you a Mirabel of your own. And our final ink combination to take a look at is Emerald Steel. Starting off with Brandon B Squared, NA Caster, friend of the channel. Huge shout out to you, my friend. And I think most of these are going to very much resemble the Zane Zayad list. We've only got 2 Muses here, which I think is lower than what Zan played. But we've got 2 Ana. We've got that Morph line, obviously, into Beast and potentially Tinkerbell that we're running at a 2 cost. Prince John, Diablo. We've got the 3-drop Ursula, Pete, Sudden Chill, Hypnotize, 2 Brunos. Yeah, pretty traditional Emerald Steel looking list. We've got a version here by Traverse Tavern. Goodness, with the stars that have come out for little old Lorcana Villain's video. Shout out to each and every one of you. Shout out to Traverse Tavern with a bit of a different looking version here. I super like the 4 Muses. I think this card is just super good. 4 Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo as well. God, I bet there was some Bibbidi Bobbidi stuff going on. I nearly broke PG. 2 Clarabelle line, 4 Diablo, 4 Morph. We've got that Beast. We've got 2 copies of the 6-drop Mother Gothel, who of course we're not running the 2-drop, but of course we have Morph here. 1 copy of Simba here as well to banish an item or location, and again it can shift onto Morph. That I super like. 2 copies of Cinderella Stout-Hearted as well. That's gonna catch people off guard out of nowhere. Super interesting. And yeah, the 4 Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo opens up all sorts of nonsense with Ursula, Anna, Simba, Gothel, Tinkerbell. Yeah, big fan of this. Shout out to Traverse Tavern. We've got a version here by Max, who's playing 1 copy of Chief Bogo, who I now have seen Zootropolis, so I quite like him. He's pretty cool. But yeah, whenever you play a Floodborn, 1 damage to each opposing characters. We are running a 4-4 Robin Hood line. Of course, the Diablo, Clarabelle, Tink, and Beast. 1 Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo and 2 Smash up in here. Another version here looking pretty much like the Zan Zayas. Did Zan only play 2 Muses? I'm going to have to double check that. Only 3 Hypnotize here, but everything else looking pretty standard. And an extra special shout out to this person, Show No Mercy. And I can see you certainly didn't, with Duck 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 Blues. Now, this list was submitted by Take Refuge Gaming. This is the list my wife won a Mirabel champion mat with today. Phantomitch Games in Concord. 25 players, would love to see Lorcana Villain cover it, and I can surprise her when the video drops, since she doesn't really use Twitter. And I've put down here my exact response: my dear sweet child, that's what I do. It's what I live for. So huge shout out to you, my friend, and a huge shout out to Show No Mercy on a 1st place finish with this disgusting looking aggro deck. 4 Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom, 4 Bosses on a roll, 4 Amethyst Chromacon for the draw power. We've got 4 Sven in here as well to keep characters safe, and he quests for 2 himself. We've got 4 Foxes and 4 Befuddles for some board control, and then all the aggro that ever did was Daisies, Lilos, Maleficents, Chernobogs for draw, Piglet, Snake, again protecting characters, give you a bit more board control, Blues for guaranteed Law plus Bodyguard, and kind of the same for Donald Duck. So yes, a disgusting looking list. I'm not surprised you took home the dub. A huge congratulations to you. And that is everyone. So, super long video. Please continue to send in your set championship deck lists. The next video, I'm going to fit set championship season into 2 videos this time. First time it was 4, then it was 3. I want to make it just 2 this time. I mean, I could milk it and make it multiple, like, 30-minute videos. That's technically better for the algorithm and for profits, but I've never liked to do things that way. So I'm going to try and fit them all into 2. The next one will be super early November, basically straight after the season has ended, and give a few people a chance to send in their lists from sort of last-minute events. I'm going to be starting Set 6 Azeroth Sea reviews this Thursday or Friday. I'm going to aim for Thursday, but I feel like there might be a lot of card reveals on Friday, so I might leave it till then. Then over the weekend, my focus is going to be going into detail for the pre-Seattle Ultra data, although I do have D&D on Sunday evening, and my players' sort of home base where they've been making their sort of like their territory against the evils of the world has just been infested by vampires. So that's getting pretty tense. But yeah, and then next week we'll be looking to release the Ultra Data video, and then I'll be doing coverage for Seattle. I've actually been given permission to restream it, which I'm tempted to do. There's a few things I need to kind of sort out before I can make sure that's a possibility. But if you really would like to see a restream of Seattle, then let me know in the comments. If there's tons of support for it, then I'm more inclined to get my butt into gear. But that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.